This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Dallas Pederson, Extension Weed Specialist at Kansas State University, and we were at the Rossville Field Day this evening. And the topic I covered was just kind of an overview of integrated weed management. This past season obviously was a very difficult one for a lot of growers in terms of producing a crop and also managing their weeds. All the wet weather that we had starting last fall actually made applying herbicides in a timely manner to get good herbicide activation and control before the weeds got too large was really quite a challenge. In the end, however, I think most farmers have done a pretty good job. One of the good things about moisture is when we have good moisture, the crops grow good. And in general, herbicides work better when the weeds are actively growing than when they're under moisture stress or drought stress. So again, things have worked fairly well. One of the things that farmers have to think about as they plan for weed control or weed management in the future is that they need to consider a good, diversified, integrated weed management plan that includes cultural practices as well as a diversified herbicide program through time, not just a single application. Mixing up different herbicide modes of action to try to prevent the development of resistance. They also have a lot of choices today about different herbicide-resistant traits in their crops that they can choose from. Some of the new traits that have been introduced recently, for example, are Enlist soybeans. Enlist soybeans have resistance to 3 different herbicides, 2,4-D, Liberty or glufosinate, and glyphosate or Roundup. That was introduced on a small scale this year, but certainly will be available on a larger scale next year. Keep in mind that Enlist soybeans, however, are not resistant to dicamba. So if we're planting Enlist soybeans in the same vicinity as Extend or dicamba resistant soybeans, then we have the potential both for drift of the dicamba to the Enlist soybeans causing problems, as well as the Enlist or 2,4-D products to the Extend soybeans and causing problems. Another new trait that actually was introduced this year is what we call the LLGT27 soybeans. Those have resistance to glufosinate or Liberty herbicide, along with glyphosate or Roundup herbicide, and what we call the Group 27 herbicides, which would give us the opportunity to maybe use that group of herbicides as part of our pre-emergence program. At this point in time, however, there is no Group 27 herbicide actually registered for use on those soybeans. And so until that happens, that still isn't an option. The other trait that they hope will be available maybe next year would be what are called Extend Flex soybeans. Extend Flex soybeans have resistance to dicamba, as do the Extend soybeans, to glyphosate or Roundup, and also to glufosinate or Liberty. So for those growers who like to use Liberty as an alternative herbicide for weed control, especially for the glyphosate resistant weeds, they could do that and still not have to worry about having dicamba drift damage to their Liberty Link soybeans. So that has not been released yet because it's still not approved by all the export markets, but again, that may be available next year, so you'll have to kind of stay tuned and see what its availability is. It really doesn't matter which trait you use. You need to obviously know what your herbicide resistant traits are and then use the appropriate herbicides within that program. There are a lot of good herbicide options out there, but again, the key is to use a program approach and not just rely on a single herbicide within that program.